a NATO fighter jet firing over Europe, a suspected Ukrainian drone crossing into alliance territory. And now fears are exploding across the Baltics that the war with Russia is drifting dangerously toward NATO itself. As drones, airspace violations and threats of retaliation intensify, one terrifying question is emerging: how long before a single mistake triggers a much bigger confrontation? A Romanian F-16 fighter jet, operating as part of NATO's Baltic air policing mission, shot down what authorities believe was a Ukrainian drone over southern Estonia on May 19th, marking the latest incident involving drones linked to the war in Ukraine entering NATO territory. Estonian Defence Minister Hanno Pevkur confirmed that the drone was intercepted after officials assessed its flight path and potential risk.
It was there around noon, and this air threat materialized in the sense that this drone entered Estonian territory, after which, of course, all the necessary procedures that we have previously agreed on naturally followed, and the Baltic air policing fighters were also in the air. In this particular case, Romanian F-16 fighters shot down this drone between Vortsav and Poltsamar. This drone has fallen into a rather marshy area, and we are currently still carrying out these searches, this procedure. Estonia has not given permission to use its airspace to anyone except its allies. And we have not, and the Ukrainians have not asked for this permission either. The Ukrainian defense minister has apologized for the incident. At the same time, he was pleased that we had shot down the drone. It is also important to note that this is an ongoing situation.
The incident is the latest in a growing series of cases in which Ukrainian drones targeting Russia have either crossed into or crashed inside NATO member states. The developments come as Ukraine continues expanding its long-range drone campaign against Russian military infrastructure, energy facilities, and arms factories. Earlier this week, Russian authorities reported that one of the largest Ukrainian drone attacks carried out against Russia killed at least 4 people, including 3 near Moscow, while also injuring more than a dozen others. Military analysts say Ukraine's ability to penetrate Russian air defenses reflects both the increasing number of drones being deployed and improvements in Ukrainian strike tactics. Estonia's defense minister said NATO allies have repeatedly urged Kyiv to avoid routes that could bring drones close to alliance territory. The growing number of drone incidents has also fueled political tensions across the Baltic region. Last week, Latvia's government collapsed after Prime Minister Eva Kasilina resigned following mounting pressure linked to the handling of several incidents involving suspected Ukrainian drones entering Latvian territory. Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service accused Ukraine of preparing to launch future drone attacks against Russia from Baltic territory. In a statement released Tuesday, Russian intelligence claimed Ukrainian military personnel had already deployed to Latvia and warned that NATO membership would not shield the country from what Moscow described as just retribution. However, Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs posted on X that Russia is lying about Latvia, allowing any country to use Latvian airspace and territory to launch attacks against Russia or any other country. Later, Latvian government crisis management head Arvis Sails said,
"We are currently observing that Russia has launched an active disinformation campaign against Latvia, spreading deliberate lies that Latvia is allowing its airspace to be used for drone strikes by the Ukrainian armed forces against Russia, or that Latvia plans to allow the use of its territory specifically for launching unmanned aerial vehicles from Latvian territory toward targets in Russia. This is deliberately false information. This is a continuation of the disinformation campaign observed earlier in March, when Latvia was accused of allowing Ukrainian drones to use its airspace." Latvia has not permitted the use of its airspace or territory by the Ukrainian armed forces for the purpose of carrying out their self-defense missions.
Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs rejected the allegations, stating that Russia was lying about Latvia allowing its territory or airspace to be used for attacks against Russia. Estonian Foreign Minister Margus Tsahkna also dismissed the accusations while defending Ukraine's right to strike Russian military targets. Now, as NATO fighter jets are increasingly forced to respond to drones linked to the war in Ukraine, fears are growing that accidental escalation, airspace violations, and mounting regional tensions could bring the conflict dangerously closer to the alliance's borders. NATO is now being pulled directly into Russia's drone war accusations. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service has made a pointed accusation. Latvia's foreign minister needed just 3 words to respond. Russia's SVR has claimed that Ukrainian forces from the Unmanned Systems Forces have already been deployed to 5 Latvian military bases, including Adazi, Lielvārde, and Daugavpils, in preparation for a series of drone strikes against targets deep inside Russia. The agency said Ukraine had persuaded Riga to approve the operation, calculating that the exact launch sites would be difficult to detect. It added, in language that read as a direct threat, that the coordinates of decision-making centres on Latvian territory were well known, and that NATO membership would not shield those involved from what it called just retribution. Moscow also claimed its reconnaissance systems would be capable of identifying drone launch sites even if the attacks were carried out from Latvian territory. Latvian Foreign Minister Baiba Braze denied the claims made by Moscow.
Russia lies again. This time it is the SVR, running a disinformation campaign against Latvia. Latvia does not provide airspace for attacks on Russia. That has been explained several times to Russian representatives.
Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs backed the denial, saying Russia was lying about Latvia allowing its airspace or territory to be used for strikes against Russia or any other country.
Russia is lying about Latvia allowing any country to use Latvian airspace and territory to launch attacks against Russia or any other country.
The claim is not the first of its kind. Russian authorities have repeatedly asserted that the Baltic states provide air corridors for Ukrainian drones targeting Russian territory. The Baltic defense ministries have consistently rejected this, attributing drone incursions into their airspace to Russian electronic warfare jamming Ukrainian navigation systems. Ukraine's foreign ministry spokesperson Georgi Tykhy also refuted the Russian allegations of Kyiv planning an attack from Latvia.
There is no truth in Moscow's latest set of falsehoods accusing Ukraine of preparing attacks against Russia from the territory of Latvia. We officially refute them. Ukraine does not use the territory or airspace of Latvia in its operations against Russia and does not intend to do so. Russian lies are merely an extension of its broader propaganda campaign aimed at destabilizing public opinion in Latvia and the wider Baltics. We thank our Latvian friends for seeing right through them.
The issue has carried serious domestic consequences for Latvia. After several Ukrainian drones strayed into Latvian airspace in early May, the incidents triggered a government crisis that ended in the resignation of the Latvian government. Now, with Moscow directly accusing a NATO state of enabling attacks against Russian territory, the confrontation around the Baltic region appears to be entering a far more dangerous phase.